You're watching a movie, or scrolling through a series, or even sitting in a dark theatre, heart pounding as the climax unfolds. Ever wonder, why does this feel so powerful? Why do you care so much? Here's the truth. None of this would exist without what happened over 2,500 years ago in ancient Athens. This isn't just history. This is the origin code of every story that ever made you cry, gasp, or sit on the edge of your seat. And today we're unlocking it. Stick around, this changes everything. And if you're new here, welcome. Hit subscribe and tap the notification bell. You won't want to miss what comes next. Chapter 1. It began with a god, and a chorus that changed the world before there were scripts, before there were stars, before there were even stages. There was Dionysus, god of wine, god of ecstasy, god of transformation. And every spring, in his honor, people gathered to sing wild, rhythmic hymns called dithyrambs. But then, something shifted. The leader of the chorus, the Corypheus, stepped forward and spoke as someone else, not as himself, as a character. That moment, that was the birth of the actor, the birth of drama, and yes, the word tragedy. It might mean Song of the Goat. Why? Because early performances were soaked in the energy of satyrs, mythical half-goat beings who danced, drank, and laughed alongside Dionysus, the very first actor, Thespis. Sound familiar? Thespians, that's him, the original. Let us know in the comments, have you ever heard of Thespis before? Drop A if this is your first time learning this. Chapter 2. Theatre wasn't entertainment. It was sacred. It was civic. It was everything. By 535 BC, tragedy was formally part of the Great Dionysia, Athens' most important festival. Think less award show, and more national ritual meets blockbuster premiere. Citizens, servants, men, women, everyone came. And get this, the state paid for it. Wealthy patrons, called choregoi, funded productions like modern producers. Poor citizens, their tickets were reimbursed by the government. Theatre wasn't a luxury, it was a public good. A mirror held up to society, to justice, to fate, to morality. Could you imagine your government funding theatre like this today? Tell us your thoughts below. Chapter 3. The Big Three. The men who engineered emotion. Aeschylus. He didn't just write plays, he invented conflict. How? By adding the second actor. Suddenly, dialogue, tension, collision of wills. His Oresteia, a trilogy that traces justice evolving from blood revenge to trial by jury. The birth of democracy on stage. Sophocles. He brought in the third actor. More voices, more complexity, more depth. He also introduced scene painting, the first visual storytelling on stage, and he gave us Oedipus Rex, the ultimate story of fate, blindness and truth. Euripides, the disruptor. He questioned the gods, he centered the outcast, he twisted myths to make you feel deeply uncomfortably. He didn't just write tragedy, he invented tragicomedy, melodrama. The emotional manipulation you feel in every modern show, thank or blame him. And after every heavy tragedy, a satyr play. Short, wild, irreverent, required by law, because even the ancients knew you can't carry that weight without release. Chapter 4. The machine behind the magic. How they did it. This wasn't bare stages and monologues. This was full sensory immersion. Masks, not costumes, not props, sacred tools. They let actors become gods, monsters, heroes. They made transformation visible, echoing Dionysus himself. The chorus, 15 men, singing, dancing, commenting. They weren't background, they were the heartbeat, guiding emotion, dividing scenes, acting as conscience, as witness, as ideal spectator. The space, carved into hillsides. The orchestra, a circular dancing ground, with an altar to Dionysus at its center. The scheme, a backstage hut, evolved into full architectural sets. And yes, they had special effects. A crane, to make gods fly onto stage. Death, violence, almost always happened off stage. Why? Because the real drama wasn't in the blood, it was in the reaction. The messenger's trembling voice, the audience's imagination. Chapter 5. Why this still matters. Today. Right now. Greek tragedy wasn't about happy endings. It was about fate versus free will. About hubris, human excess, and its cost. About justice, not as punishment, but as evolution. It asked, what happens when a good person makes one terrible mistake? What happens when you fight destiny and lose? Aristotle called it Hamartia, the tragic flaw, not evil, just human. And the audience? They didn't just watch, they felt pity, terror, and then catharsis, a purification, a release. That feeling you get when the credits roll and you're silent for a moment. That's Greek tragedy, still working, still alive. Every story you love, every twist, every tear, every gasp, carries the DNA of those first steps taken in ancient Athens. Every story you love, every twist, every tear, every gasp, carries the DNA of those first steps taken in ancient Athens, in honor of a god, through masks, with a chorus singing in the dark. This is where it all began, and it's still shaping you right now. So tell us, what's your favorite Greek tragedy? Oedipus, Medea, Antigone? Drop it in the comments. Let's start a conversation. If this opened your eyes, smash that like button. It helps us reach more curious minds like yours. Subscribe to the channel, because next week we're revealing how Roman theatre stole the blueprint and turned it into spectacle. And don't forget, tap the notification bell. You won't want to miss it. Share this with someone who loves stories, who loves theatre, who loves to understand why things move us. Because the greatest stories were written long before we were born, and they're still speaking. Until next time, stay curious, stay moved, and never underestimate the power of a mask and a chorus.